Hi, this is Douglas Robinson with DefEdit Software LLC, and in this video we're going to be talking about extension methods in Visual Basic. Now normally I do videos on Cherwell, but a lot of the work that I do is actual software development work in Visual Studio using the programming language Visual Basic, and I learned how to do something useful lately that I've been putting to use, and I wanted to do a video on it, and that is how to use extension methods. And the audience of this is going to be people who aren't that familiar with Visual Basic, who are just learning or something like that, or who mostly work on Cherwell but don't actually do a lot of software development work. If you're writing something out in Visual Basic, a lot of different objects in Visual Basic have methods or properties, and sometimes there's functions that you want to create that you want to be able to reuse and assign them to those properties. So as an example of that, we're going to use a string. Now, a string, I have one in here, let's say, search results. If we type out search results, do a period, we can see all the different properties and methods on a string, and that's great. Something that I end up doing a lot is I use this substring function if I need to get one piece of data and trim it and get, just one substring of a piece of data. Well, when I use this, a lot of times what I do is I'll say I want a substring. See this says retrieves a substring from this instance. The substring starts at a specified character position, and it's expecting an index as an integer. So it's expecting me to tell it what character position it's going to retrieve text from to the end of the string. That's great. When I'm writing code, in my mind, shorthand, I'm going to say, I'm just going to paste in the text for start here, when in reality, I'm supposed to be doing this. I'm supposed to be giving it a value like search results dot index of start here. And it trips me up all the time because really what I want is very similar to Cherwell. I want to be able to say, give me the text after this text right here, because I'm already saying I want a substring, but it's expecting me to tell it where to start and where to end, or optionally just where to start. So I can't just type in text substring everything after this point. I have to say search results dot substring parentheses search results dot index of, and then parentheses, and then my text. And it trips me up all the time, and if you do this wrong you end up with an error message. So what I want to be able to do is write an extension method. And what an extension method does, I've actually got one defined already. So as an example, I have an extension method for TextAfter, and this is a method that accepts text as a parameter, and then the point where you want to start, or your delimiter for give me text after this point, as a string, and it returns a string. So what this does is it has an integer, and it just does exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. It says, here's the index of that point, give me the substring of my text, and then here's the index that I'm supposed to be starting at, and then here's the duration that it's supposed to be going, and that's it. Or this is the length of the delimiter, because you want to start after your delimiter has been finished. So you want to start at the character position right after your delimiter is what I'm saying. So that's all this method does, is it gives me a way to say, give me the text after this point, and just pass in the starting point. Now this looks like it has two parameters, but because it extends a string, when you're looking at the options that you have available for a string, it assumes the string is the first parameter, and all you have to fill in is the starting point. So here I can just say text after this point, and it'll search that string and give me everything after the text this point. And for me, this is cleaner and easier than search results dot substring and then index of. It's not even just index of, it's recursive. It's search results dot index of this point. So that's an extension method. It makes things easier for you, and it allows you to add a method to a certain data type, like a string. So that's a very simple extension method. One that I'm actually going to be using here in the future is relevant to the Cherwell work that I'm doing. So as an example, I'm working on a map for processing emails, and that's going to be connecting to the API. So while it's connecting to the API, I end up with very large JSON objects like this. This is a JSON object, and it has a lot of data in it. At some point, it has a list of fields. And, oh, I'm in the wrong window. Let me open up Notepad++. So at some point, it has a list of fields. And in my script here, I'm going to be processing through this list of fields. I've got some text that, gets it together into a certain array. And I say, for each field, do something. Well, I need to know the name of the field. So I've created an extension method to get that name from this selected text right here. So for every field, I now have an extension method that'll get me the value of the name column. And we'll take a look at that extension method. So that is, let me minimize this. That's this guy right here. So I have an extension method I've developed that says public function get Cherwell field name. It has a parameter which says Cherwell field JSON from API as string, and this is intended to be this text right here. If your REST API from Cherwell returned values for a field, this is what you'd get. That's what it's expecting, and it's going to look for a key value pair of name and then the value, and it's going to get you that value. And the way that it does that is it creates a new variable for Cherwell field name as a string, and it takes this string that was passed in, this parameter, and it uses a function for TextAfter, which is the one that we just talked about. That one is defined right here, and it uses TextAfter and then name. Now you'll notice in Visual Basic we use 2 quotes for every quote that's actually in a value so that it can differentiate between, here's quotes that mean this is a string, here's quotes that's actually in the value. So you notice that those are doubled up there, whereas in the JSON they're just single pairs of double quotes. So we're looking for name and then a colon and then a space, and we're getting everything after this point to the end of that field definition. And then because there's always a value tag after it, we just want everything between this point and this comma. So we've got TextAfter and then TextBefore, which is another extension method I've defined that says, give me my text, give me my delimiter, here's the index of that delimiter here, so comma, at what point is that comma in, and then it says, give me all of the text from the very beginning of this string that we're passing to the point in time, or to that point where the delimiter exists, and that's it. So we've created a TextAfter extension method for strings as well, and just let me give you the rundown on that. So this is a string. We have an extension method for TextAfter, which returns a string, so we can use another extension method after that for TextBefore, and that also returns a string, and that's what gets set into Cherwell field name. So to give you an example of this, we have a test form that we've created, that I've created while I'm working on this project. Wasn't really created for this video, but it's something that I can use. I wanted to do a video on this because it took a little bit of effort for me to learn how to do this, so if this helps someone else, that's great. So in this case, if I wanted to give you text before, let's say, created date time. Give me everything before the word created date time. We click this, and you can see it gives you the very beginning of this value. Dirty is false, display name, colon. Go ahead and delete that. If I wanted all the text after this, we get all the text after that. And here's the code for that right here, by the way. It's just calling, here's our text box for input, which is up here. Here's a text box for a delimiter. Here's a text box for the output. And it just output text gets set to input text dot extension method text before, in this case extension method text after. We also have a button for get Cherwell field name, which is kind of exciting. So if you pasted in this entire thing, and this is what I'm using this for, is I've built out an extension method so that if I pass in this entire JSON value and I need the name, I now have a method for get Cherwell field name. And it prints out the text, Cherwell field name, and then the result of this extension method for get Cherwell field name, which is created date time. Now I probably need to remove the quotes on that, but that's fine. And as an example of how we can do that is we can go into our get Cherwell field name value here, and we can just say dot remove. That's a built-in method. Remove quotes and quote done. Uh-oh. Returns a new string in which all the characters. This better not. We can do replace. There. Anyways, the other thing you can do is you can use an extension method to overload something. Now, overloads in Visual Basic basically mean you have one function with a given name and then a given set of parameters, and an overload of that function is another function with the same name and a different set of parameters, so that if you're passing it different data, it uses a different copy of that function with different code for that different set of parameters. So if I wanted to, instead of saying TextAfter, because that's a little bit harder to remember, I could have a function in here for substring, which I have handily written out. Actually, let me undo that. So I could have a function in here for substring, and it would overload the normal substring, where if I pass it just text, it doesn't work. And I have an example of what happens if I do that. So if we go in here, I've got a line that's commented out, where if we pass it a substring value instead of TextAfter, which is our extension method, if we pass it a substring with a string in it, it'll give me an error message. So if I start this and we do, let's say, I'm going to type in 1, 2, and we put in a comma for our delimiter, and we hit TextAfter, it throws an error on this line. This is why I wanted to learn how to use extension methods, is because I run into this problem all the time, which is you can't convert from a string to type integer because that's expecting an integer. And instead of replacing this method with TextAfter, what I can do is I can create an overload in my extensions for substring. Now, we're going to look at what that looks like. So an overload of substring would look like this down here. It's a new extension method, but with the same name. So this is just a copy of our TextAfter function with the name changed to substring. Now, we haven't changed any of the code here, but if we start this again, magically it'll work. So 1, 2, delimiter, comma, TextAfter. We go through our first line, which is TextAfter. We go through our second line, which is substring, and now it's working. And the reason for that, if we do this, normally there's two overloads for substring. There's start index as integer, there's our extension. And then normally there's start index as integer, length as integer. And what we've done is we've added an extension on this, so that whenever our extension is available, I can do what I'm used to doing and just type in a value and not have to worry about it, and it'll work. And that's what I'm doing a video on here, is here's how you can add an extension method to fix a problem or to make your life easier in Visual Basic. That's all that we were doing. Now, using an extension method, if you have a project like a form here, you can add a module to it. For example, this is a module. And in that module, all you have to do is put this extension tag in front of anything and make sure that you've imported that module, and it'll work. What I've noticed is an issue is I actually have this set of extensions inside of a class library. And I could not, for a while, I could not figure out how to import this into another class in a way that would actually work. Now, the big thing here is that I've given it a namespace. So if you import this, it has to be a namespace. It has to have this and this. I was just doing it like this without the namespace, and it wasn't working. So if you have this in a class library, and I strongly recommend that you do, because you don't want to recopy everything out in each new project, it defeats the purpose. What I like to be able to do is put at the top of my text, hey, I'm importing my set of extensions, and then all of a sudden, when I have a string and I want to use TextAfter, it's just there. And I don't have to go through, copying and creating a new module. It's just there. So what I would recommend if you actually use this is get all of your favorite extension methods that you can build out. For example, for me, I'm going to have extension methods like, get me the name from a field from this JSON for Cherwell, or for example, get me the field array from a business object value here. And I'm just going to put them into this class library extensions list that I have right here. So that's all that I really have for this video. I don't usually do videos on Visual Basic, but this one I thought was pretty useful. I might end up watching it myself if I go a couple months without working with Visual Basic and end up needing it again. Hopefully it was useful to you. If you have any comments on it, or if you have any ideas for other videos you'd like us to do, feel free to leave those comments in the comment section below, or subscribe and you'll get annoying push notifications when we put out new videos. Thanks.